Big 12 today, heard exclusively on TuneIn, and now you can watch us. Today is the official launch on Big 12 Studios, big12studios.com, the Big 12 Fast Channel. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling, and we are now joined by the Big 12 Commissioner, Brett Yormark, here on Big 12 Radio and Big 12 Studios. Good morning.
Nice to see you both. I need to know who does the music mix. That intro was fantastic. Whoever's responsible for it, I love it.
All Taman.
I love it.
All Taman.
Great job.
I mean,
Glad to be here, guys.
perfect song to be bouncing you in, right? Because, I mean, they're not, the rest of the conferences, they're not like us.
They're not. We're a different league.
Well, I tell you what, we are super excited about this setup, number one, here at Big 12 Studios, and just the tune-in, Raycom, Big 12 collab, if you will. What does this mean in terms of kind of just one more layer and one more check of all the goals that you have for the conference when it comes to the whole media landscape?
Well, thank you. Again, guys, great to be with you, and congrats. I like the intimacy of the new set. It's terrific and very much on brand. You know, when we first got here, myself and those that came with me, we wanted to be in the storytelling business. We felt that was critically important. We didn't think that storytelling was being done as profoundly as it should be, specifically in the Big 12. And when I think about storytelling, I mean the human interest stories, the student athletes, Olympic sports. We now have the distribution platforms to do that. And, you know, it's interesting. Our fans are very avid. They want as much content as we can give them, not just on game day, but throughout the week. And you guys are providing that. So thank you very much. And it's a big platform for us. And we're just thrilled to be in partnership with, obviously, TuneIn and Raycom. And it's been a great year, and it's only going to get better.
There's so many other partnerships that have been announced recently. You know, the Barstool Sports partnership, you know, more distribution through TNT and HBO Max and international distribution. There's the announcement of the international games. You know, when you first started, we talked about your whiteboard and how many things were written on the whiteboard. Have you been able to erase? Like, is there more space? It's endless, it feels like. And I'm also curious, like, what is your process from ideation to execution?
Well, great question. First of all, I love our distribution partners. My goal was to get as many people to like us now so they love us when we become a free agent in January of 30. You know, if you think about it from a media landscape perspective, the conference has always gone early. You know, I went early when I took the job in August of 22. 90 days later, we had doubled down with ESPN and Fox for all the right reasons. But we had to do it in many respects. So we haven't been in the marketplace as a true free agent in probably over 20 years. So I look forward to that moment. And what we've been able to do strategically with some of our sub-licensing will only give us an opportunity to entertain the opportunities from more than just ESPN and Fox. We love ESPN and Fox. And if I'm still the commissioner, we're going to continue to double down with those partners. But opening it up to others, I think that's critically important. When you think about just the media landscape for the Big 12, we have some controlled media platforms, which is critically important. We have 5 of the biggest media partners now supporting us and elevating and amplifying who we are and what we do, both our member institutions but also the conference. As I was saying just a couple of minutes ago, Fox last night, during their coverage of the Major League Baseball playoffs, they were promoting our games this weekend. That's great for our conference because we're not just going to a football audience. We're going to a sports audience that's national. So more amplification, more promotion is critically important. You mentioned a little bit about our announcement last week at going to Wembley. In fact, I'll be in London early next week for a press conference at Wembley. Critically important for us. I think we can win globally. And that's important both short-term and long-term. The long-term benefit of winning globally is how do we monetize those international broadcast rights, which currently we are not doing. In fact, no conference does it. So really excited about where we are today. You referenced the whiteboard. There's a lot on it. But, you know, you ask a question about ideation to execution. One of the things that I'm focused on, and so is my executive leadership team, is how do we focus on the things that matter most? The things that are going to move the needle for this conference. And for me, that's how do I create value for my membership? So there's a lot on that whiteboard, but it's prioritized. And for a guy like me that wants to do a lot at the same time, I've had to show a lot of discipline, and I've had to prioritize what truly are the things that are going to create value for this conference. And we just came off a day and a half of a board meeting with our ADs here in Dallas, and that's what we're focused on, the things that can move the needle.
NBC picking up some basketball. They just announced that the games that are airing on Peacock will also be on YouTube TV. That's huge. TNT, fans are loving the TNT broadcasts for college football. Have to be happy about that, yeah?
Love it. Love it. I've always been a fan of TNT, going back to my NBA days rather. Their production, their talent, how they story tell, what they put into it week to week. Our fans, because I'm following social media during the games, love TNT. They love the access we're providing them, the production quality. They're really getting under the hood, when you think about storytelling with student athletes and coaches. They've been a wonderful, wonderful addition to the football season. And then, as you said earlier, they'll transition into basketball, which obviously they do a great job with, having been with the NBA for all those years. So excited about the TNT addition.
I'm curious for your thoughts on private equity. Obviously, that's been a huge part of the discussions in college sports. We saw last week, Big Ten made some headlines with some potential news on that front. Can you just add some context for people that are maybe confused about what private equity looks like at the conference level versus maybe the individual school level?
Great question. So I'm going to take a step back. When I got here as commissioner, I realized it was incumbent upon me to explore every and all options to best position our schools and, for that matter, our conference. Looking at capital was one of the things I felt was critically important. And we did an exploration of all the different scenarios that could unfold. Private equity effectively is having someone come in and take a piece of your conference. You're selling a piece of your conference. And with that, think about it as another member. So in the case of the Big 12, if you had 16 schools, you now have a 17th member effectively. So we went down that path. For me and where I sit today, I truly believe that given the uncertainty around collegiate athletics, that having a strategic partner that can help create value, value creation, we discussed it earlier, is very important. And a strategic partner can offer lots of different things. They can offer expertise in different areas of the business. They could be a great sounding board, and they could provide capital when and if our schools need it. So that's kind of how I think about it today. I would never, and I guess I shouldn't say never, but the ideal scenario for us is not just to partner with someone for capital. For me, it's got to be much more strategic than that. Capital can be a part of it, but certainly the strategy, the subject matter expertise is critically important. The other piece is I'm really bullish on the Big 12. I always have been. I love our trajectory. I love where we're going. And I'm not inclined to give up any of that upside right now. Knowing that, again, we're going to go into the marketplace in January of 30, I think we'll have a big moment. But certainly, as the commissioner, you have to explore every and all options. You never want to be on your heels, and you want to be forward-thinking. And we, as a conference, have done that. And I've done that with our board and our ADs.
We are joined by the Big 12 Commissioner, Brett Yormark, here on Big 12 Radio, heard exclusively on TuneIn and via video at Big 12 Studios, the Big 12 Fast Channel. The Big 12 didn't have a preseason conference poll for football. We are looking at the start that Texas Tech has had and still think they're ranked too low, although in the top 10 of the AP Top 25. We've tossed around the idea of should the AP Top 25 have a preseason poll if they want to have a preseason poll, but then no poll for about a month, similar to what the FCS level does, and then revise the poll and kind of refresh it week 4, week 5, week 6, whatever they want to do. Would that help the Big 12? What are your thoughts on just the AP Top 25?
So we've discussed this internally a lot, and I'm not a huge believer in the preseason polls because of roster management and the portal. You just don't know what you have until you play a game.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, to predetermine and just to judge things based on what's on paper, I'm not a big fan of. So starting, you know, those polls a couple of weeks into the season, once you have an understanding of truly what you have, I think has some merit to it. And that's just one person's opinion. When I think of the AP 25, I do believe with you. I think Texas Tech is one of the premier programs in the country. And they should be ranked higher. But they're going to continue to play, and we'll see where that goes. I like how we're represented today. Cincinnati received the most votes of those that were not in the top 25. We'll see where that goes. But I love where the conference is. As you guys know, you cover us every week. We've got 2 undefeated teams. We've got 4 schools that are undefeated in conference play. This is a big weekend for us. The next couple of weekends are big. I think at some point in time, you know, parity is great. And we have a lot of parity. I mean, I was reading a stat, either we're the first or second FBS conference when you think about lead changes in the fourth quarter. It really shows the parity and the excitement. I got a call from someone from the networks over the weekend, said, Brett, your conference leads the drama meter in all of football. And I think that was dead on. But the next couple of weeks, I think, could create some separation as you're looking at who might end up in Arlington. And we'll see how it plays out. But each week is just action-filled, and it's playing out like we had hoped.
Do you think that the Big 12 is fairly represented in terms of the AP Top 25 and in terms of the national public perception of the league and how good it is relative to where it's thought to be?
I'm not sure we're recognized as much as we should be nationally. I think our style of play is incredible. We score a lot of points. We are the conference of quarterbacks. Like I said, we lead the drama meter. When you think about lead changes in the fourth quarter, I do believe that some of our schools should probably be ranked a little bit higher. You know, an undefeated BYU, obviously a Texas Tech. But I also look at schools that are on the fringe that should be getting greater consideration, like a Utah. Cincinnati is off to a great start. I'll be in Cincinnati this weekend when they host UCF. So let's see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But I think the conference is picking up a lot of momentum. And, you know, as I said and have been saying for quite some time, settlement, in theory, should have created a level playing field.
Yeah.
When you think about the cap. I do feel that's playing out each and every week now. When you think about who started in the top 10 or top 15, some schools aren't even the top 25 anymore. So there is greater parity, I think, across college football, generally speaking. And I think over the course of the next couple of weeks, our conference will emerge and hopefully get the consideration we deserve.
There's some really good teams, once again. Last one before we let you go, basketball media days just around the corner here in a couple of weeks up in Kansas City with the women and the men. Expectations for the Big 12 basketball season when it comes to not just the teams and the member institutions, but you have 5 television partners on the men's side, which will put the Big 12 in some prime windows. What are your expectations there?
Well, first of all, I talked about the preseason polls not meaning much, but I will say that we have 6 schools in the top 25 preseason poll, okay? So I'll use that to my advantage at this point in time. But I think we have schools beyond those 6 that are going to vie for bids into the tournament, you know, the March Madness, and I think we're probably deeper than we've ever been. We were very successful in the portal. We've got a great incoming freshman class. When you look at the talent that's distributed across our schools, we retained some of the, you know, the big faces in the league last year. So I'm really excited about where we're going, you know, as a conference. Last year we had a great run, obviously, in San Antonio. We were almost there in winning a championship. I do expect us to show up in Indianapolis, at least with one school, maybe multiple schools. I think we're that good. So I'm really excited about it. And what's nice is that the country is going to be able to see Big 12 basketball almost every night. You know, you talk about 5 media partners. We've had ESPN, they've been terrific. Fox comes into the fold this year, really excited about that. A lot of broadcast windows there. TNT, obviously they did it at such a high level with the NBA. Now they're in our family for basketball. NBC, and congratulations on your gig, James. That's exciting. And CBS. I mean, CBS is going to be big time for us. They had 6 games, and now there are 26 games between CBS Sports Cable and over the air. So each and every week, our conference will be promoted and marketed like never before. And I'm excited about that. The women's too. I mean, listen, I'm excited about the women's game. I become a huge fan of women's basketball. In some regards, I probably get to more women's games than I do men games. This year, our linear exposure will be terrific. Now, we don't have CBS, TNT, and NBC with the women, just ESPN and Fox, but they do a terrific job. And as you know, the women will have, for the 3rd year running, there'll be a T-Mobile with the men, you know, for our championship week. They kick it off for the first 5 days and lead us into the men's championship. So should be a really exciting basketball season. I look forward to having you guys at Media Days. You know, we're gonna reimagine Media Days a little bit. You know, I felt that historically our Media Day, but others too, it's a little institutional. So you should be excited about it. We've got lots of different new elements that we're going to be introducing, really geared toward the student athlete. We'll have a fashion walk, which will be very, very different because I think, again, back to storytelling, fashion is something that, you know, our student athletes love, both, you know, on the men's and women's side, and we're going to let us know who they are a little bit, you know, from a fashion perspective. There's talk about a little skills challenge that we might introduce. We'll see what that looks like. So trying to reimagine it. We're not going to get it all done this year, but it'll be a big first step in the right direction for us.
It's a busy whiteboard, James. It's a lot going on that whiteboard.
I love it. I love it. And what a way to let the student athlete express themselves. I mean, that is so cool.
You know, that's, you know, when I compare where I am today versus where I was, you know, having been, you know, the CEO of the Brooklyn Nets for 16 years, one of the things that is very clear to me is that we're in a purpose-driven industry, and I don't want to lose sight of that, you know, despite rev share and all the things we're doing. At the core, it's the student athlete. And how do we give them the platform to be the best version of themselves? Whether they go on and play at the next level or not. And, you know, you think about the whiteboard, that's our core focus. How do we enable our student athletes to be the best version of themselves? And humanizing them is a big part of that. And we're going to start doing that more and more during those tentpole events, media days, et cetera. So excited about it.
Well, we are incredibly grateful to be here. So thank you for this partnership, the opportunity to promote this league and break down these teams. And we're all in. And again, just thank you so much for your time and for everything you do for this conference.
Thank you both. You guys are at the forefront of telling our story. And we appreciate it. We appreciate the partnership. And as you guys know, I'm always here to help when I can.
Thanks, Brett.
Thank you.
That is the Big 12 Commissioner, Brett Yormark, here on Big 12 Today. Heard exclusively on TuneIn, seen via Big 12 Studios, big12studios.com, the Big 12 Fast channel. You can watch us via YouTube, DirecTV, Roku, Amazon Prime, and many, many other avenues. He's Ari Timken. I'm James Westling. We'll be back in a moment. This is Big 12 Today on Big 12 Radio.